Hello, BookTube. It's time for another shelf tour. I was going to start elsewhere than where I am today, but I had a request because I had shown at least one Batsford, BT Batsford Limited publication by Sackville Sitwell, and somebody had asked me. I was going to do this at some point anyway. I was just going to spend a little more time talking about the publisher, but it's the information, if anybody's interested, can be, I'm sure, found on the internet. But it's the BT Batsford publisher that started in the 1840s by Bradley Thomas Batsford, the BT Batsford. They specialized, or eventually, into architecture, sort of travel stuff, a number of things. Travel, knitting books, even, because that's a big collectible part of people collect their knitting books. History, architecture, as I say, was a big one. They actually had open shops as well in London. As I don't know if elsewhere, but they had at least one or two shops in London. Now, they continued. They're sort of still in business under the imprint name. Sometime in the 80s, they were bought out. I think it was in the 80s, bought out by Pavilion, I think, Pavilion Books, and used them as an imprint for, I'm not sure what at the moment. But yeah, they just publish solidly good solid architecture, history, and sort of county type books or regional type things, not just confined to England either. And then it's sometime in the early 30s, I think probably 1933. They had an artist, Brian Clark, which was I think it was a relative of Batsford, who designed a cover, and it became popular. And it's sort of there is a book about him. It's sort of like it's sort of the Illustrating Britain, I think it's called, or something like that. But anyway, let's go through some of them, and I'll point out Brian Clark, a couple covers that he did. There's no specific order here. I'm not going in historical order of when they were published or the series, because there's various series that the books belong to, and I don't even have close to a representative collection. And as I say, I collect them generally for the jackets. For the artwork on the jackets, and it changed. There was different artists. There was for the different series, and they would even reprint later with new covers, and then they did that even up into the 70s with photographic ones, but I try to limit to the illustrated ones. Anyway, here we go. This is English Folk Heroes by Christina Hole. And it's a very dark cover. I like dark in many ways. I really like this. And it goes onto the spine. It does not carry over to the back. This copy it's got foxing on it. Jacket design is by Eric King. It says the woodcuts, but they've been colorized, and there's a frontispiece as well. And this is published 1948. I think up until like the 50s, if it didn't say anything like second printing, if it said first published or first printing in the year, and that's all it had, it's the first printing, first edition. But again, there's a lot, it's one of my projects, or one of my future projects, is to go more in depth into the Batsford, because they are something I like, but I want to get more as well to have more representative style of the styles and publications. Here's another one. Let me just go back to this, because as I say, they had various series. No, it doesn't say which one this part, the English folk heroes, is part of. I'm not sure which series, but those are the type of things that I want to track down and just learn more about and with the collection. Here's parish churches of England, and we might actually have some duplication occasionally here, but that's fine because I'll sometimes buy something and thinking that it's in better condition. Because as you can see, there's a lot of wear and darkness to the spine and like wear to the edge. But this is a wraparound cover, and this is part of the British Heritage series, which, you know, at the time would have had a uniform like maybe 20 titles. And my purchasing them at the moment are quite haphazard. It's whatever comes my way, mostly in bookshops or charity shops. So I haven't made a concentrated effort to collect at the moment. There's a list of some of the Heritage series, the British Heritage series. The artist on this one, jacket designed by Philip Goff, and it's by Charles Cox, Charles Cox. Edited with additional chapters by Charles Bradley Ford, and it's the watercolor of Carlsbrook Church, Isle of Wight, by Hugh O'Neill, 1784 to 1824, for the frontispiece. And they, for the most part, well, let me just get back to this here. See, this is 1935 originally, so probably would have had a Brian Cook jacket originally, and then this is the 7th edition, 1954. But they do, I like their black and white photographs. I think they're marvelous. And I've always had a soft spot for churches, parish churches, cathedrals, and so forth. But I really do like the photography that's in these. You may not always get, like, it may not be the scholarly writing in a way, or definitely not academic in these. And sometimes it's very chatty, very anecdotal of the areas, if it's an area, but this one's on churches. So, I want that one. English Rivers by John Rogers. There's another one that's beautiful because they minimize what's on the jacket. But again, you can see it's tarnished on the spine. It's darkened. There's bits missing, and there's a bit of spotting. I don't have fine copies of each of them because that's, as I say, this hasn't been a concerted effort to do so. Jacket is reproduced from a watercolor of the River Severn at Shrewsbury by Philip Brown by kind permission of the Ryman Gallery, Oxford. And it's part of the British Heritage series, again, the same one as the previous one, but different year. See, this was published, first published winter 47-48, which has a dual date by John Rogers. Cottages on the Stour, Suffolk, detail of a painting by John Constable for the frontispiece. And again, the photography, I just find fantastic throughout these. English Spas, again, we've got the same. This one's much nicer. The jacket is in much better condition. It's the Face of Britain series, and the jacket is from a antiquant of Pump Room Bath by J.C. Nates in 1805. And it's got a bookseller sticker from Charles Wilson, bookseller, Church Alley, Liverpool. And actually, I might have purchased this in Liverpool when I was there several years ago. So it might have sort of stayed around. And yeah, it just, again, it's about English spas. The Railways of Britain, Past and Present by O.S. Knock. The ever ubiquitous Knock. I don't know, he must have wrote 150, maybe 200 books and edited and whatnot on British railways. This one is British Heritage Series. Is that the same? Because as I say, there's a lot of series with these. Yeah, it's the same as the other ones. British Heritage Series. This one is there's a frontispiece of Euston Station in colour. Railways of Britain, yeah. First published winter 1947-48 again. It is rough. As you can see, it's worn. It's darkened on the spine. Here's a little bit of a different one. It's the Englishman's Castle. There's several editions of this, but this is by John Gloag. He's done a lot of stuff in drawings by Marjorie Whittington, and it's got it's got a bit of a protector on it. Not a very good one. Somebody's name and address is on the front flap. This is. It doesn't say. It might be a standalone. It doesn't say what series it's from. It's history of houses, large and small, in town and country from AD 100 to the present day. John Gloag and Marjorie Whittington. John Gloag has done several. This is an interloper. This is not a Batsford. It's an interloper. This is Error and Spottiswood. That's why I couldn't figure it out. Anyway, we'll just chuck that aside. No, not fully, but it doesn't belong with the Batsfords. So, forget about that one. English Sports and Pastimes by Christina Hole again, as the Folk Heroes one. And again, it's a bit better condition. It's got a bit of water damage there. It's price clipped. And cricket match at Witheringham, Kent, 1840 for the frontispiece. Illustrated from paintings, prints, and photographs. Jacket is reproduced from an early 19th century print in possession of Messrs. Fors of New Bond Street, London. And this is first published 1949, so it's a first printing. Not sure, I might be going too slow on these. This has some extra stuff in. I've got to actually take off this plastic. No, well, I've already started to, so it's a poor plastic. Somebody stuck it on and taped it, so, and it's starting to do some damage to the book itself. There's a bunch of little bits and pieces, ephemera that's stuck in here. This is part of the Heritage series again. It's a bit rough, but this is Brian Cook, I believe. I have to check here. Yeah, Brian Cook jacket. That's the style. Very distinctive. And this one has a lot of foxing on the front page edges. This is 1938 it's the Old English Customs and Ceremonies by F.J. Drake Carnell. And again, it has a lot of... they don't do people as well, the photographs, I must admit. But churches and whatnot are pretty good. Yeah, there's just a bunch of little ephemera in here. a card, possibly a postcard. No, it's actually, well, it must be a postcard, but there's nothing on it, or it's cut out from something. Just, yeah, they're miscellaneous little bits and pieces. So I will keep that with the book. I do need to, I keep saying this, but dust jacket protectors for certain ones. This is Public Schools of England, another Brian Cook cover or jacket. It's missing a little bit at the top of the spine there, as you can see. It's got some newspaper clippings in it. It's British Heritage Series again. But you see, this would have been done again later with a different artist. It would have been reprinted. This is Old Public Schools by John Rogers, with a foreword by Lord Burleigh, MP, and published 1938. It's a little worse for wear, as you can see. Looks like there's something else stuck in here. Somebody's bookmark, which looks like it's it's blades for a razor. So somebody's used as a bookmark. I'll wait for time, 16 minutes. I'm not sure if I can. I might have to redo this. English Custom and Usage, Christina Hole again. And it's a wraparound one also. British Art and Building Series. No, I don't think that's what this is, but she might have almost had her own. There's another one that sort of goes with it, is Thomas Burke. This is illustrated from prints and photographs, 3rd edition, Batsford. Originally 41-42, and this is the 3rd edition, 1950. 1950. The English Townsman by Thomas Burke. Yeah, so this to me, those would sort of go together. But he's done other ones: English Nightlife, Streets of London, Travel in England, and a few others. The frontispiece is a bit loose. It's a 2nd edition, autumn 1947. First published autumn 1946. But it's a nice jacket. Another Brian Clark jacket. It's a Face of Britain series now. It's a different series. It's 2nd edition, winter 42-43. First published July 1936. British Woodland Trees by H.L. Edlin. Not sure what series, if there is a series, but it's a Brian Clark. Bit different for him, but it's a Brian Clark jacket. This is 2nd edition, autumn 45. First published summer 44. The English Abbey, which I think I do have a couple of these. Brian Clark jacket. It's got a nice pullout here. With a cathedral on the end papers. This is The English Abbey, Its Life and Work in the Middle Ages by Fred H. Crosley, with a foreword by the Right Honourable Lord Harlech. Illustrated by photographs by the author and others, the drawings by Brian Cook, 2nd edition revised. So first printed winter 35, 2nd edition spring 39, and this reprinted 1941-43. Old Towns of England by Clive Roos, and that's another Brian Clark, I'm pretty sure, jacket. It's a 3rd edition. It doesn't have his name on this one, but It's rough on the spine. It's a 3rd edition revised. Originally 36, autumn 36, 2nd edition 43, 44, and 3rd edition 1948, spring. Yeah, it doesn't say Brian Clark, but I'm quite certain it is by the style. It's quite distinctive. Here's another one that's that forestry and woodland life that's sort of similar. It's a little different style, but it's still quite interesting. It's got a few bits and pieces here. Somebody ripped out would have been the price at the top there rather than clipping it nicely. Ex Libris, Anthony Frederick Walker. I've got a few books from him. This is first published spring 1947, so it's the first. Now we get into some other nice ones here. Edinburgh, it's sort of cities series. There's Oxford, Cambridge, Bath, Dublin, York, and so forth. They're very nice. This is Edinburgh, obviously. Doesn't say who the artist is on for the cover, but it is a 2nd edition 1948, originally published in 1947. Might be information somewhere about the artist. I don't see it. Oops. The Land of Italy. Now, the Sacraville West has the one I showed. I think it's Spain, and there's other ones. This is sort of getting into the European one, and they're very nice. They're very nice. This one has a bit of a chip off of it there. This is by Jasper Moore, first 1949. Now we get into something a little different as well. Everyday Things in Ancient Egypt by Marjorie and C.H.B. Quinnell. And they did even this. This is a later one. But it's revised by Kathleen Freeman. Originally 2932. Revised edition 54 and 3rd impression 1960. So this was getting near the ends of what I really like about their covers. Here's North Country by Edmund Vale. It's a Face of Britain series. Another Brian Cook jacket. And this is first published March 37. The Face of Britain series. I've got 2 left. I should be able to do them. An Outline of English Architecture by A.H. Gardner. Jacket is from an old lithograph by G. Sheriff of the Rebuilding and Approach to London Bridge. Again, wrap around. It's a bit dark and a bit missing at the top of the jacket. A.H. Gardner, it's an account, Outline of English Architecture, an account for the general reader of its development from early times to the present day. And it's A.H. Gardner, fellow of the Royal Institute of British Architects. So there are no sort of lightweights that do this, but it's made for general readers. This is 3rd edition, first published 45, second autumn 45, 2nd edition spring 47, and the 3rd edition 1949. And the last one is English Downland. It's very similar. It's the Face of Britain series by Brian Clark, Cook again, for a jacket. It's a little rough for wear. There's a lot of foxing on the pages. There's a bit of caulking that needs to be corrected. By H.J. Massingham, illustrated from photographs, and again, just the usual fabulous photographs. Like I say, they do buildings and nature well, but not so much people in the photographs, I don't find. This one is first published 1936, so it's first. Anyway, there ends, because it's going to cut off soon, so there ends my first shelf of Batsford. So I'll come back tomorrow with the second shelf. Take care, BookTube. Bye.